think this is a good note for everybody out there.
He says that I don't pull well on TikTok, so
He
if you
doesn't.
want to do any
It's
videos
just a
with
fact.
me-
It just doesn't pull well. It's called social media for a reason, and it's not selfish media.
I just gotta clear something up. You weren't the 12th man on the field.
There is no easy way to get anything ever. Ho, 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 ho.
This is Mornings with Matt, the Deering Acting Studio podcast,
Yeah, Brian.
where we discuss the connection between life and acting. Holla, holla.
Alrighty, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Mornings with Matt show on the Deering Acting Studio podcast. I'm Matt here with Brian and Joey. Today we were talking about how to get off the emotional roller coaster.
Holla, holla.
Holla, holla.
What a great topic, because we all know there's been a lot of highs, a lot of lows, a lot of like ups and downs to this last year. And just because the year ended doesn't mean that the roller coaster ended. Mm-hmm. It's been a ride. So today we're gonna, as usual, we're gonna start off with our daily devotional. We're gonna break that down a little bit, break down some Bible, and then we'll jump into our show. So, Bri Guy,
All right, let's go.
you about ready to hit this thing?
Absolutely.
All right, Joey, let's get the camera switched over to Bri Guy.
Yeah, here's the thing. He's disappearing, so I just gotta...
I'm disappearing.
What'd he do? He didn't wear blue.
This is great. This is great. I
I
just
see the
want
gray.
everyone in the audience to understand.
They'll never see it because
How's that? Is that better?
Okay, go ahead, Bri Guy.
all right.
All right, the gray's good. So we've got two great verses today. So we'll start off with the first one. The first one is Proverbs 27:19. As in water, face reflects face, so the heart of man reflects man. So I'm gonna do that one more time, nice and slow, to kind of receive it, and I'd love to hear.
You knew
your
I was
thoughts.
going to ask you to do it again.
Yeah. As in water, face reflects face, so the heart of man reflects man.
That's good. Joey, I don't see Brian on the screen.
Yeah, you don't, because he's not keying very well for me over here.
Just
right
put him
now.
on there. I don't care if he keys well.
He's really I mean,
What the heck?
yeah, I wasn't kidding.
That's
like
hilarious.
straight
The
up
gray is
gray.
not working
Let's
right
just
now.
get rid of the background for now. You know,
Okay.
What
Yeah.
the heck?
that's funny, dude.
It keyed yesterday, fine.
It
This is
did.
the same.
Yeah,
I think the cameras got jacked to the cameras.
Ah, I see.
There you go. You look good on blue.
Hey, yeah, I like that. That's nice.
I don't care what everyone says about you, Brian. You look good. All right, so we got as in water, face reflects face.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, it seems pretty obvious. Let's break that down.
It wasn't obvious to me. So I'm like, this is weird, but I just kept looking at it and reading it and going like, where face reflects face. Like,
Okay, so I think it's just this is just the truth is in the mirror.
okay.
The water, a reflection of water, is just a mirror. It's a reverse image of you, right? And so, I don't remember what movie this is. It was like Land Before Time or something like that, where one of the characters comes up to the water and they see themselves for the first time, and they're actually like afraid of themselves, like whoa, because they see an image and they don't realize it's a reflection of them.
Yeah.
We see that with kids. When a kid sees the mirror for the first couple times, they want to touch the mirror and they think there's another person there. It's not. It's just them. It's a reflection of them, right?
Yeah.
So it's like what was it? As water.
As in water.
As in
face-
water. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you look in the water, face reflects face. What you see is what you get. Like what you are, it's like that's the truth.
Yeah.
Okay. Then compared to so the heart of man reflects man. So it's like your heart is going to reflect you. The heart is your center. The heart is the emotion. The heart is like what's going on really, and that's going to reflect who you are, what you become, what you do, etc.
Got it.
That's
okay.
that's what I think that breaks down to.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah.
And so it's a proverb. So it's supposed to be this idea of like good advice, right? You know, like, hey, probably should do this advice.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's like, be careful what's going on in your heart, because your heart's going to be a reflection of you,
Yeah, yeah.
you know?
Yeah, and I guess that it could be, you know, in all ways. It can be hurt, can be wounded, you know, and just sort of just being aware. I love that. That's really great.
So you want to heal the heart. You want to heal that place, essentially. All right, let's read us some Ecclesiastes.
Done. Ecclesiastes 11:10. So, remove grief and anger from your heart, and put away pain from your body, because childhood and the prime of life are fleeting.
I found this one after we'd already decided on our Bible verse, and I was like, I like this one
You know,
too.
it never hurts to have two Bible verses, I don't think.
All right, so this actually hit me bright, especially with you. Okay, and it's interesting when you take the Bible and you break it down, because you can interpret things in so many different ways. And so this first one, I took to be, so remove grief and anger from your heart as its own thing, and then and put away pain from your body. As in, if you do the first thing, the pain from your body is going to go away.
Yeah.
Because it
yeah.
could be taken as it's all one. But I looked at that and I was like, I'm just thinking of all the pain that's been in your body specifically,
Yeah.
right? And this is saying, you know, you remove the grief and the anger from your heart. We're going back to this heart place, the healing of the heart.
Yeah.
And you remove the pain from the body. That's interesting, isn't it?
Oh, dude, totally. And I definitely felt that this last time, especially coming out, because like so much of the, I think the sickness itself and just like all of it was coming from the mind more than the body, coming from the heart, coming from the pain of being alone for so long and like forgetting the joy, honestly. And so like this idea of once you release that, and you guys helped me do that last Tuesday, once you learn to release that with somebody and like get it out and heal the heart, all of a sudden your body heals. I mean, your body heals faster. It's like, it was that plant concept. You talked about two plants next to each other, right? Like people doing their science project. And one of them, you play really nice classical music and it grows. And the other one was being fed crap and it dies. Right? So like I definitely felt that. And it goes back to that first verse. I mean, the heart first, you know, you come to God with your heart, you heal your heart, make that strong, and other things will follow.
Yeah. So what was that last Tuesday? What happened? I'm not remembering.
So basically like and it started even the day before that. I had blurred vision still and stuff, and I started panicking the first night, Monday after classes, and I went home.
Is that the day we walked and prayed and stuff?
Yeah, and that was Tuesday morning we did that. So it was just it was a Monday night into Tuesday. So like I basically had like a panic attack on Monday night because like there was so much fear. And again, fear is like not a good thing, opposite of love, right? I was so much fear that even there were thoughts of like, if I get sick right now, like being back in there, what that's going to be like, can I even get right back in if something happens? Like the whole process of getting back in, and like they run so many tests. So there was like just like panic, pure panic. And I couldn't breathe, like just literally couldn't breathe. And Joey came home and he took me out on like a walk and just helped me like breathe through it and really like just center. And he literally like, he prayed over me through the night, and he like rubbed my spine and kind of like really like somebody who has a panic attack. He was pulling me out of it until I fell asleep finally. And then in the morning we had the same kind of struggle, and you and I took a walk and just like we were praying together. You helped me like eat and focus on intention and getting away from the nausea and stuff. but it was like brutal because there was just like so much fear wrapped around me
Yeah.
that like we really had to I mean we were bawling on this walk, and I felt the heart healing. And then from that point to this, it's just been every day intentionally like staying strong in that area and talking to the body and talking to the stuff. Like every time I go pee now, I'm like, good job, nice work. Like it's Joey will tell you, it's funny from the other room. You can hear me like talking to my kidney and talking to my body and telling it something, and I feel the heart like fill up, you know.
Every time I use the bathroom.
Yeah,
Every time. It's not an exaggeration.
Good job there, buddy.
Good job. Like,
Hey, good job, pal.
and it's just, you know, when you're doing that, the heart again more powerful, and that allows things to open up. Dialysis being earlier now every time, like that wasn't happening before, even though I asked for it, you know.
But yeah, so that's the question, right? Is how do you ask for it? You know, do you ask for it in the physical or the spiritual?
Right.
Right. And this time it feels like you're asking from the spiritual, from a true. There's a purpose. It's not just like, oh, I'm just gonna do this because it's like, you know, Matt tells me I gotta do it. But it's like what's my purpose in life? What do I, you know, whatever. And this doesn't have to make me weaker.
Right. Yeah.
That's incredible. All right, so let's end this. Let's get to the end of this verse here.
So then it goes, because childhood and the prime of life are fleeting.
So this to me goes back to your full of joy, buddy.
Yeah.
You know, and you just said, you know, you were feeling fearful, which means you weren't feeling joyful. And to rid yourself of the grief and the anger and to strip that from your heart and strip the fear opens you up to be joyful. And it says this childhoodness is fleeting. I mean, that's the youth inside all of us, the joy that lives inside each and every one of us. And it does go. It goes quick, and it's there, and then it's gone. And yet we've all known people, and we've all been this person at times that like, that guy's young. You know, like we've got a few friends, like you know, I could just mention off the top of my head, like Gigi.
Yeah.
You know, he's got this young spirit about him, right? And I don't even know how old that guy is, but you see him and he's gonna be like he's gonna feel like a kid.
Totally.
You know, and he's an older guy. And he was older when we hung out with him 10 years ago, so he's older now.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he would still be like bursting with energy.
Sure.
You
Yeah.
know? And so we have that choice. That's an interesting thing.
That's going to be a button soon. He's older now. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll make the intro, I'm sure. All right, so here's the show today. Get off the emotional roller coaster. And it's a big deal because when you get stuck in the highs and lows of emotions, it is exhausting. Even when you're happy, like you get so happy and you let yourself go to this place that's like, like too crazy. Again, you have this like roller coaster effect where you got to come back down to earth. So in this episode, here's what we're going to do. We're going to dive into a few things. Our first segment, we're going to talk about understanding feelings, like getting into the understanding of feelings and emotions and kind of like where they come from. And then secondarily, on the second segment, we're going to talk about how to use that knowledge as an actor, because the imperfect selves that we are is what makes us people, is what makes us human, which it gives us character and story. And so we have to understand the human condition in order to be a great actor and to play somebody else, to be a character of some kind. So that's the second segment. And then the last segment today is going to be a takeaway where we're going to talk about how to get off the emotional roller coaster at the end, because it's very important that you're able to get off the emotional roller coaster when you're ready to do that. So that's the show today. We've got a packed show, and before we go to commercial here, Joey, Bri Guy, we've got a guest tomorrow. Very excited. So this is our first guest back here in season 2. And so very excited to break down the Bible with our guest. We'll talk a little bit about the guest after this commercial break, or maybe toward the end of the episode. We'll let you know who's going to be on the show tomorrow. It should be a good time.
Woo.
I chose steering because I feel like I can take everything that I've learned in acting class and apply it to the real world, to business, to interviews, and just meeting everyday people, learning how to listen better, and it's been an amazing experience so far.
What if we stop judging and start just working on ourselves? Once we do that and we become neutral-minded, nothing bothers us. We don't have to judge anything. We become observers. Observers of this beautiful screenplay.
Yeah.
And when that happens, nothing sways you that way or that way. Everything is more mellowed down. You're not angry. You always, like the book said, surprised with new events, new things that are happening. And whatever happens, we are the creators of what's happening.
Right. So we still have free will.
Yes, we created this.
Yeah.
Whatever is happening, it was our own creation.
Whew, how's this feel? This was it was one of those lipo moments for you. Here's the thing. Every time you move, it's a move. Do whatever's necessary for the moment. Now I'm gonna do some directing, okay? That line's wrong. Let's get that pause out of there. Don't get yourself stuck in I have to do certain things. I'm very excited for you to have the chance to see where you were when you started the scene to where you are now. Literally, you just leveled up.
Hey, what's with all this sliding around shit? What over did you say over? Nothing's over until we decided. Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Hell no, it ain't over now because I'm going. It's tough, it's going. Who's with me? Let's go, come on.
Fast with diction. So
Okay.
you'll have to go slower to make
Okay.
that happen. Whatever you're gonna mime, either do it before or after you say it.
Nor have I seen more that I may call men than you.
You didn't see it. See him. He does it.
Yes.
More, give me more. Excitement, come on.
Yes.
Make her monotone and go a little nasally with the voice. And faster.
But it means a whole lot to me. One whole hell of a lot. Sure, go ahead. Laugh about it. Yeah, I've seen your type before.
You want to learn something? All right. All right, here's a useful lesson
Scratch
for
your
you.
butt.
Just give up. Just quit.
Good, scratch your belly.
Because in this life, you can't win.
All right, welcome back, everybody.
He was just focusing on my face.
Yes, I was. All right, so we're talking about the emotional roller coaster, and so in order to dive in, first and foremost, we need to understand emotions.
I thought you were gonna say understand roller coasters.
Yeah, you know, I watched Joey build a great roller coaster in Minecraft.
Yeah, I did for your kids. It was great.
That was pretty
I got
awesome.
to relive my childhood.
So, to understand our feelings, I think the first and foremost thing we want to do is acknowledge the feeling. I think where we get stuck sometimes is denial.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, how many times has someone been like, hey, what's up? And you just like, nothing. You good? Yeah. But you're not good. You know, something is up. And so what's interesting is if you acknowledge, and I know we've worked on this pretty hard, and I feel like we've all grown and changed. But if I was going to give like a most improved award, it'd go to Joey. Because you were like like a solid stone cement block before, Joey.
Yeah.
And now you seem to acknowledge the truth of what I'm saying or Brian's saying, and then come back with honesty. And that's something where, you know, I know you've seen it now. I mean, because I've demonstrated it to you. I demonstrated it yesterday. You know,
Right.
I probably daily, many times a day, I'm demonstrating that. I'm
Yeah.
like, here's how I feel. Well, here's the facts. Like, you know.
Yeah.
Because I know the power of it. So I mean, it's such an advantage for me to do that. So I do it. You know, and when I help other people understand that concept, it's like it opens us up, right? So, but we have to fight for that, because to be emotionally vulnerable in that way can be tough. And you know, I give an example from yesterday of a success for Joey. Was he looked a little tense, and the truth was yesterday he was kind of like a master magician, fixing things sort of last minute. And some of those last minute things were because I had forgotten about a couple things. And he was just like, kind of, you know, he's good enough to do it, but I put him under the, you know, and I put him in the ringer a little bit. And so Joey's like behind the computer, and just like, he's got one of these like, looks like angry focused face, but he's like, you know. And so I was like, you good? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay. And then I pulled you guys outside, and I told you where I was at. And then I kind of just apologized for my own where I was at. And then, you know, checked back in with Joey, and I just reminded him, like, oh, but this was the why. And he was like, yes, I understand why you thought I looked mad. Truth was, I was laser focused because I really had this like small amount of time and I needed to get it done. So I was the attitude you sensed from me was, don't talk to me. I'm in a tunnel. I can't even like go anywhere right now other than just being focused.
Sure.
And so the win there is the acknowledgement. If you deny it, if you deny that there was any tension, if you deny that there was anything there, then you're like, I was fine. Like, what? Why are you asking? You know, like, you get defensive, not helpful.
Right.
But if you can acknowledge, like, okay, somebody's noticing something in me. Why? I wonder. And you get curious to your own feelings, and you acknowledge what's there. That's number one, I think, to understanding your feelings.
Yeah. No, it 100%, and it's not easy. It took a very long time, like you said, to grasp that concept in full. Because that's not how the world operates for the most part. So it was a huge adjustment to being anywhere else and then working here, because it's a different level of like transparency, accountability, all of that. But the one thing I had said to you yesterday as you were leaving is you were like, thanks again for pulling the weight today. Appreciate what you did. And I was like, no, that's our team motto, right? So one of us is down, the other two just push a little harder. Like, that's it. That's what we do. And I'm proud of that. That's something that you've created here that makes our workplace, what we do, super special, because it can be hard. But it's not hard when you understand and trust that.
Yeah.
But the only way you get there is by being honest about how you're feeling in the moment.
Right. Okay, so yesterday, you know, and I do this thing to myself. I told my wife this. I do this thing where, and you guys know, I think I even talked about it yesterday. I try not to beat myself up, but it's hard because when a couple things go wrong, or I'm not great at something, and I fail or I forget or whatever, you know, I start to feel guilty. And guilt is like, it's just like fear. It's like it's just like the worst. It would drive you down. And so I went home yesterday, and I was feeling all blah. And, you know, and I wasn't paying attention to the fact that I was up at 3:30, and the fact that we did a great show, and the fact that, you know, a lot of things got done at a high level and very well. And I was like focused on the 2 or 3 things that I had forgotten, and I was trying to make myself feel bad, which was not good. But I went home again to deal with it. So I go home and sit down with my wife, and I wanted to pose this question to you guys, because she asked me a really good question.
Okay.
She said, when in your life did you feel the safest? And I was like, no one's ever asked me that before.
Huh.
And I had to really sit and think about it. And I found an answer, and I'll give you mine. But I want to know if something it comes to you guys, like when in your life can you remember feeling the safest?
Dang, I've never been asked that either.
Right? It's a big question.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll think of mine while you share yours with us.
Brian's like, get the camera off my face. What about you, Joey? You have a time when you felt the safest? Can you think of a memory?
Sure, yeah. I mean, it's interesting. You feel safe in situations where you're not at your best, I feel like. So for me, probably was in your dad's basement, staying there. It was a cool situation where I was done with my senior year at Shadow, and then my dad was like, cool, well, I'm going to move back to Wickenburg. And I was like, all right, bet, because we lived together. So then I was figuring out, and I was like, I could go to Grandma's house, but that's kind of packed. And then your dad was like, you can just come stay with us. Like, there's an open room. And I was like, sounds intriguing.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, I would say I felt the safest then. I felt there was a lot of good that came out of that situation, even though I wasn't in my best state of mind. But as far as, like, feeling protected, feeling secure, that would probably be the time for me.
Interesting. What about you, Brian?
So my mind went to the 4th of July trip that my family took this last summer, where we were on the river.
Yeah.
And my uncle and my cousin, like they're guides, so they know their stuff, and so it's a fun time. It was a really good time, but I felt so safe. You know, you're about to get onto an uncontrollable river where there's rapids and things that you literally can't control. But I knew that like whatever ended up happening, there was a safety behind it to the way that they talked about it. It was like a loving fear that they kind of gave to you, but like helped you understand every piece of it. And so there was this moment where you just felt like, okay, if I fly out of this thing, I'm going to be okay still. Like there's like a...
Well, and if you go to that trip too, you think about you're in nature.
Yeah.
And you've got, you know, you don't have traffic and you don't have a car and you don't have to go any place. And honestly, again, going back to your uncles, you've got everything taken care of for you again, sort of like Joey.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Totally.
Like no responsibility, just show up and eat.
Yeah.
You know, buckle up your seatbelt, hold on to the rope. We got you.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's pretty much the experience there.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes you feel safe.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's interesting. Joey brought up my dad, and you bring up this thing too. The memory that hit me was I remember this time in high school. I was young. It must have been freshman year or sophomore year, and I got one of those really bad headaches. Like I was in a lot of pain. I had this headache, and I remember my dad coming into my room, and he just he brought my head off of the bed and just held my head. So he held the weight of my head, and then used like his doctor magic and was pushing on the pressure points of where it was going to relieve the headache. And I swear he must have sat there for half an hour. And I just remember that's the memory that came to me. It was like I felt very safe, you know, like if you think about it, the weight of my head was just, I felt weightless, you know, and I felt relief. And same as you guys, the responsibility wasn't on my shoulders. I didn't realize it at the time. I didn't, you know, and you guys probably didn't realize it. Like you look back and you're like, wow, I felt really safe. But at the time, you don't even know how much you should be grateful.
Yeah.
Until you're not in it.
Yeah.
Totally.
You know, and now I'm like, I didn't feel the weight because my dad was carrying the weight.
Yeah.
of the mortgage and of
Yeah.
the, of making sure that we had food to eat. And I just showed up to the dinner table, you know what I mean? And I complained about school and, you know, and all that stuff. But like the truth is, I was so safe and so taken care of. And what's interesting is, you know, my kids are in that position now, and me in that position, truthfully, even if we had to downsize house or like, you know, something changed and we ended up in an apartment, like whatever would have happened, the truth is my parents would have shouldered most of that stress.
Yeah.
And I would, and like my kids, like they would hardly feel it right now.
Yeah.
They're just going kind of from one thing to the next because Leeann and I are shouldering a lot of that, you know, that stress and that pressure. So
And the guilt.
And the guilt.
You know,
That's
it's,
right.
you feel guilty in those situations. You know, if you're a parent and you have to downsize or cut back on funds or whatever, like, of course you feel guilty. So it kind of goes back to your point.
And
of
you feel
before.
fear. You feel the fear that Brian was talking about.
Yeah.
All the what ifs. Right. And so I had this realization last night when I was talking to Leeann, and it made her cry. But it was this idea of like that's when I felt safest, right? So why do we do this to ourselves as adults? Why do we do this mental like exercise where we hurt ourselves? We focus on the future and too much, and we start thinking like all the what ifs, and we go negative, we go guilty, you know, we feel fear. You know, those are all choices. And the truth is, this is kind of like got her, the idea of weightlessness, and she's like, you have to just give it over, and there's another father now holding your hand.
Yeah.
Right? Picking you up, taking care of you, you know, on the river, or, you know, allowing you a place to stay. Like, you're always going to be taken care of if you put yourself in God's hands.
Yeah.
And that's that weightlessness that you can feel, but it's weirdly work to continue to let go and allow yourself to be in that place.
Totally.
Yeah. I had a neat conversation with Astrid's husband, Ben. He came in to get the keys last night, and we were talking about pretty much this exact thing, and especially like the adult aspect, right? So just this idea of work-life balance, you know, and he said specifically, like, what's the point of working your whole life, like a ton of hours and all that, if you're not enjoying the worldly experiences while you're doing it, if you're not spending time with your loved ones, if you're not enjoying quality time with the people around you, like then it becomes empty.
Right.
So there has to be a balance always. And I think you're exactly right when it comes to adulthood. It's like you can't let that suffer. Those dreams, those relationships, all of that. Because if you don't have that, that's what you should do in your time where you have a second to breathe, right? Is go and fill yourself up with the people you love that put a smile on your face just by looking at you. And so that's interesting. I think you hit it on the money when you said, you know, adults in general put all this weight on themselves to think about the future, when sometimes the best thing you could do is just live in the present.
Probably all the time. It's the best thing you can do is live in the present, and it's just so hard to do. It really is. All right, so this will be the end of segment 1 here on understanding our emotions. So we want to acknowledge the emotion. We want to be honest and truthful about how we're feeling, and then you know, and just sort of like try to understand. Like, to understand it, you have to want to understand it. You got to try to understand it. You got to kind of dig in a little bit. So that's what I want you to take away from this first segment. Coming back after the break, we're going to talk about how this connects to acting, how to get to the root of an emotion, and how to use that information in order to be a better actor, to create more nuanced and really specific characters. So it's gonna be a lot of fun when we come back.
I chose steering because I feel like I can take everything that I've learned in acting class and apply it to the real world, to business, to interviews, and just meeting everyday people, learning how to listen better, and it's been an amazing experience so far.
what if we stop judging and start just working on ourselves? Once we do that and we become neutral-minded, nothing bothers us. We don't have to judge anything. We become observers. Observers of this beautiful screenplay.
Yeah.
And when that happens, nothing sways you that way or that way. Everything is more mellowed down. You're not angry. You always, like the book said, surprised with new events, new things that are happening. And whatever happens, we are the creators of what's happening.
Right. So we still have free will.
Yes, we created this.
Yeah.
Whatever is happening, it was our own creation.
Whew, how's this feel? This was it was one of those light bulb moments for you. Here's the thing. Every time you move, it's a move. Do whatever's necessary for the moment. Now I'm gonna do some directing, okay? That line's wrong. Let's get that pause out of there. Don't get yourself stuck and I have to do certain things. I'm very excited for you to have the chance to see where you were when you started the scene to where you are now. Literally, you just leveled up.
Hey, what's with all this sliding around shit? What over did you say over? Nothing's over until we decided. Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Hell no, it ain't over now because I'm going. It's tough, it's going. Who's with me? Let's go, come on.
Fast with diction. So
Okay.
you'll have to go slower to make that happen. Whatever you're gonna mime, either do it before or after you say it.
Nor have I seen more that I may call men than you.
You didn't see it. See him. He does it.
Yes.
More, give me more. Excitement, come on.
Yes.
Make her monotone and go a little nasally with the voice. And faster.
But it means a whole lot to me. One whole hell of a lot. Sure, go ahead. Laugh about it. Yeah, I've seen your type before.
You want to learn something? All right. All right, here's a useful lesson
Scratch
for
your
you.
butt.
Just give up. Just quit.
Good, scratch your belly.
Because in this life, you can't win.
Everybody, so we just talked about the understanding of emotions, and now we're going to apply that knowledge to our acting. I wrote something down this morning that's mine. I came up with it today.
I own it.
So I'm going to quote myself.
Okay.
Quoting Matthew Deering.
Matthew Deering quoting Matthew Deering.
I just wrote this, and I thought it was like, oh, that's really well said, you know? So here's how it goes. There are an infinite number of... I just screwed up my own quote.
Let's start it over. Let's start it over.
Let's pretend like
Take
that
two.
didn't happen.
All right.
Take two, everybody.
There are an infinite number of pathways to get to an emotion, but in the end, each path begins with love.
Yes.
Juicy.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, as an actor, here's what we want to figure out is this idea of layering your emotions in order to play a character. So we just talked about this idea of, like, you know, somebody's acting a certain way in your life, and it's usually not what it seems. Mm-hmm. It's usually not about you either.
Yeah.
You know, emotions come from love. They all do. It's either like love or a lack of love. It's the center. That's why we say love is the center. It just is. At the end of the day, it all comes back to love. So as an actor, you want to think to yourself, if there's a line that I'm going to deliver, I like to start off with giving the opposite emotion.
Interesting.
Just start there. That way you're not giving the obvious choice. Mm-hmm. You know? So if I was to say something like, I'm gonna beat you up. You would think I should be angry and loud and mad. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna beat you up.
Right.
right? Like your actor brain wants to initially go like, okay, that's this obvious choice here, right? So what if I play it cool, calm, relaxed? I'm gonna beat you up.
It's way scarier.
It's way scarier. It's interesting, right? So then how do we layer that down? How do we layer it all the way down to love? That's tough, right? Because what do we have here? We've got a bully. We've got some sort of a bad guy character of sorts, right?
Yeah.
You want to jump on this, Brad? Because I know I saw you itching.
Yeah, I think it comes down to you've got to really figure out for them what that looks like. Because, I mean, you can't even hate without there being some sort of love behind it.
Right.
Some sort of, like, understanding. And I know you've taught that before, and that's really helped me as a coach to understand, like, going away from the obvious. If you really get into their heart and understand them, then you're going to find the layers that you more naturally, the thoughts that they would be putting off versus, like, what they actually feel. So then you get to kind of, that's where the fun comes in. Now you get to develop this person. So you just said, like, there's a backstory of they're having a rough time at home. So they're feeling a lack of love there and hoping that they can get it here. So even though I'm saying this line to you, and even though I'm saying it the way that you just said it, then behind that, layered with that is I just wish you would understand me.
Right.
You know? And now all of a sudden, if someone's really watching, and I saw you coach a kid on this out here, the power of your eyes and them being a gateway to your soul and your spirit.
Yeah.
And it was really cool to see this kid, and you weren't letting him get away with it. Like, you sat him down. It was like 10 minutes of you, like, continuing to go
from
until
the youth class. Yeah.
until he understood what it meant to look into someone's eyes and really feel it. And you kept pushing it and going for it because you knew the importance of it. And the truth was, if you really are doing that, then you'll see all the little layering underneath. And those are the things that make us human. Those are the things that make it so interesting to watch. And when you see a great movie or something like that, like, you're seeing them live in that way.
Speaking of living into your acting and Matthew Deering quotes, we've got a little
Time now for Brian Sweeney's Shameless Plugs.
Shameless plugs. Ladies and gentlemen, two things. One thing, you can check us out this weekend for our Chaos Comedy Improv show. It's going to be awesome. Woo! So the three of us will be performing, and then there'll be a group of Chaos players performing as well. And then you can also get Acting is My Day Job, 7 Strategies to Market and Make Money as an Actor.
Whoa!
Yes, I know.
You rattled that thing right off, dude.
Well, thank you. I'm getting better at it.
You
the
are.
original actor's handbook, actually, is what that is. You know.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it passed down through knowledge of God straight to Matt. And you can get them here in our lobby this Saturday if you come to the show, or you can get them online at Amazon and pretty much anywhere you can
This
buy a
book was not intentionally written, but you're going to be glad that it was, because it's great. It's really great.
That's true. It was an accidental book.
Just happened.
It was meant to be, that book. All right. Well, thanks for the shameless plugs there, Brad guy.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's gonna
anytime.
be a great show. We're very excited about the Chaos show coming up this weekend. And I gotta say, dude, it's good. It's good to see you getting stronger every day.
Oh yeah. Thank you. It
Yeah,
feels-
I
feels
called
great.
Brian on the phone yesterday, and I was like, so there's a show this weekend, like, not sure where you're at, just wanted to check in, make sure you'd still want to perform. And he was like, a show? A show? He was like, yeah,
Show?
that sounds like so much fun. He was like, I'm feeling so much better.
Yeah.
I want to do a show.
I was like
And
a dog that got to
"All
go
right,
outside.
Yeah,
I was like, show?
honestly.
Show?
Honestly, show? Yeah.
And you know what's interesting is just 5 days ago, you wouldn't have responded that way.
No, not at all.
It's incredible what you can do with your mind. It
He would've-
really is.
He would have been like, yeah, we'll see how I'm feeling.
Yeah, we'll
on
see.
that
I don't
day."
know if I'll be sick or not yet.
Yeah,
I haven't
yeah,
decided.
Yeah. Ooh, I love that. You said you haven't decided.
Yeah, right.
Boom. Mental.
Yeah.
Mental.
And when you don't, so I mean, this is a whole nother episode. We don't really have time to go into this, but when you don't decide, it causes another emotion, which is anxiety,
Yep.
because it lingers and it's sitting on your shoulders, and like, so because you pushed it off, that now there's another emotion I got to deal with, instead of just making a decision one way or the other, yes or no, I'm gonna do it or not do it. But now I don't have to remember to decide
Yeah, yeah.
later, you know?
Totally.
Interesting.
Wrote that
So I
down.
like to
Future
jump-
topic, just decide.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. So we're gonna wrap up this acting section here, and I'm not going too deep because we're gonna do a whole thing on emotional triggers. So we'll kind of just go glaze on the surface of this, but the idea is you can go really deep into this emotional work. So if someone is portraying anger or even evilness, hate.
Yeah.
You go back and you go back and you go back and you go back and you find out where did they get that from, and what was missing, or what started it, what was the catalyst, and you kind of go all the way back and you layer all these emotions on top of each other, and then you build up this backstory where like this thing happened and that thing happened and this thing happened, so that there's a trigger for that person, just like there's a trigger for us.
Yeah.
And something happens, unless we've healed and dealt with it, something will happen and it will trigger us to automatically feel a feeling and go into one of these places that we either don't want to be in, or sometimes we do.
That's what I wanted to bring up before we end this segment. But you recommend therapy for actors.
I do. I recommend therapy for
all
everybody.
the time. But because of this sinking into emotion too far, right? To where you do your performance, you sink in, you give a great performance, and then you feel that way the rest of your day because you don't get yourself out of it correctly. And so I thought it would be good for you to talk into that while we're on this specific topic, because I think that's something that will help a lot of actors.
So I recommend therapy because most people don't get, like Joey said, they don't get what we do and what we've done and gone through the last 3-4 years. And you don't live in a space where you're expected to be honest, you're allowed to be honest, you can state your feelings truthfully, and we encourage that around here.
Yeah.
We need our students to be emotionally available in their performances. Therefore, we as staff, we as teachers must hold ourselves accountable to that. And my goal is to be doing it 24/7. And I'm not saying I'm happy 24/7. I'm saying I'm trying to be honest about my feelings 24/7.
Yeah.
And I can say, hey, I'm feeling addicted. Hey, I'm feeling sad. Hey, I'm feeling angry. You know, I mean, one of the things I told Leeann last night is I just said, you know what? I'm really pissed off at COVID.
Yeah.
And I meant it. I was pissed. Like, there was a time when I was afraid of COVID. There was a time that I was like, I'm going to beat COVID. And there was a time, and now I'm just mad at COVID.
Yeah.
And I don't trust COVID. And so it was making me angry.
Yeah.
And I had to deal with that. And I had to deal with the fact that, you know, that people some people are just bad. And it can be very painful to look into the world and see the worldly pain that's out there and the truth of it. And it's like, you know, I mean, it can really get you. But me acknowledging the emotion, getting to the root of it, dealing with it, and then allowing God the Father to hold my hand, I got through it.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think as far as COVID goes, we've all felt that way at some point. We felt
Different
fearful.
emotions,
We felt like we'll beat it. We felt like it's not a big deal. We felt like it is a big deal.
We felt like it was fun.
Yeah.
You get a week off, you know, whatever.
At the beginning, how grateful was everybody to be home for like a week or two?
Oh, we didn't get that, but
be like,
a lot of people,
You know, they got to go home and spend quality time that some people, as we talked about earlier in this segment, adults specifically, like, weren't doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was nice because you were like, oh, I do have a family to go home to.
Yeah.
Wow, how blessed am I?
Well, I think this all goes into going back into what actors can do and the actor side. The more you're doing that, the more you're being open and honest, and it is challenging. It's super challenging, but I throw out the challenge to just start doing it, to start like journaling about it at the very least.
Well,
you know,
and that's where a therapist comes in though too, right? Because when you don't have a support system you can go to, you do need to get it off your chest. It's so important.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then by doing that, you basically tear down one of the bricks of your wall that's holding you back. And then in the moment, like and we'll talk about this a lot in the triggers, then all of a sudden when you feel something, your body will respond faster. to the truth, and you're not having to fight it. Whereas otherwise you end up in emotions, overthinking triggers and like trying super hard to get yourself in a space, but really you're not in that space totally because you're still blocking. And I know I'm in that place still. I'm still definitely blocking. But you see someone like your wife who just like she watches The Lion King, she's bawling, you know,
Right.
like, yeah.
And a lot of it's because she's so good at fantasy. She's so good at like living in that space that she's there, and so it's happening to her live, you know.
Yeah.
And so she and then she says yes and allows her body to experience it, which again is a part of that, the acting connection to emotion, and what we have to train ourselves to do is to say yes to the emotion. All right, so that's the end of our acting segment here. We're going to come back and we're going to finish off with the takeaway, which is in your life, because we don't always want to carry our acting into our life. As a matter of fact, lots of times we don't. Our acting is an expression. It's an art form. We use emotion. We use all these different things to express ourselves and help us understand the world. But we don't want to bring all those like crazy emotions, especially some of these characters that can be really deep or dark. We don't want that to be, you know, stick to our lives. So the question is going to be, in our life, how do we get off of the emotional roller coaster? We're going to talk about that when we come back.
I chose steering because I feel like I can take everything that I've learned in acting class and apply it to the real world, to business, to interviews, and just meeting everyday people, learning how to listen better, and it's been an amazing experience so far.
What if we stop judging and start just working on ourselves? Once we do that and we become neutral-minded, nothing bothers us. We don't have to judge anything. We become observers. Observers of this beautiful screenplay.
Yeah.
And when that happens, nothing sways you that way or that way. Everything is more mellowed down. You're not angry. You always, like the book said, surprised with new events, new things that are happening. And whatever happens, we are the creators of what's happening.
Right. So we still have free will.
Yes, we created this.
Yeah.
Whatever is happening, it was our own creation.
Whew, how's this feel? This was it was one of those light bulb moments for you. Here's the thing. Every time you move, it's a move. Do whatever's necessary for the moment. Now I'm gonna do some directing, okay? That line's wrong. Let's get that pause out of there. Don't get yourself stuck in I have to do certain things. I'm very excited for you to have the chance to see where you were when you started the scene to where you are now. Literally, you just leveled up.
Hey, what's with all this flying around shit? What over did you say? Over nothing's over until we decided. Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Hell no, it ain't over now because I'm going. It's tough, it's going. Who's with me? Let's go. Come on.
Fast with diction. So
Okay.
you'll have to go slower to make
Okay.
that happen. Whatever you're gonna mime, either do it before or after you say it.
Nor have I seen more that I may call men than you.
You didn't see it. See him. He does it.
Yes.
More. Give me more. Excitement. Come on.
Yes.
Make her monotone and go a little nasally with the voice. And faster.
But it means a whole lot to me. One whole hell of a lot. Sure, go ahead. Laugh about it. Yeah, I've seen your type before.
You want to learn something? All right. All right, here's a useful lesson
Scratch
for
your
you.
butt.
Just give up. Just quit.
Good. Scratch your belly.
Because in this life, you can't win.
One. All right, we are back.
Joey.
Oh, you want to go with me first? Ah, I didn't understand what you were saying. Okay, great. So got a little shameless plug of my own here. Pulling up a graphic right there. Oh, wrong hand, right there. Commercial inquiries. If you would like to represent your business or anything like that, if you have anybody you know that would like advertising, go ahead, reach out to us. Email us at hello@deeringstudio.com and let us know, and we will add your business to the commercials because we love you.
And Joey makes some good commercials, I gotta say.
I do my best.
All right, so a little recap here. We started with a great Bible verse, something from Proverbs, something from Ecclesiastes,
Praise the Lord.
and we're really dealing with the heart space today. And there's a reason for that, because we're dealing with emotions, and emotions all come back to love. And once you know, it's love or lack of love. You know, that's where all the emotions stem from. Okay, and so so we talked about understanding our feelings, and then we talked about how to apply that knowledge as actors. And now in this last segment, we're going to talk about how to get off of the emotional roller coaster in life, because it's draining to be on an emotional roller coaster. Is really draining. And to go back to Paul, who's our friend who does the Divine Roots podcast with us, and somebody mentioned on there.
Yeah, he's the one that Nick said, this guy has a really relaxing voice. That's the guy.
He does.
Yeah.
And
Shaman.
And he mentioned to us before this idea of trying not to get too high or too low. And at first I didn't understand that. And Joey and I even fought it.
It's so hard, guys. It's so freaking hard. It feels like somebody's like, hey, just don't feel. Just don't feel. And that's not it. That's not it at all. But that was my initial interpretation of it, was like, hey, don't get too joyful or too sad, because, you know, those are dangerous places. So, you know, just really just stay neutral. And I was like, but I gotta feel like I gotta yell when my Cardinals make a bad play. It's
Right.
just, it's life, you know.
Well, and so why does he say not to get too high or too low? And the reason is, I believe, because feelings will amplify the situation and blind you. So it makes things bigger than they are, and then it causes you to be blind to the truth.
Yeah.
If you get stuck in your feelings, it essentially, it puts you in a place where it's really hard to listen. And as we know, listening is key. It's so important. Matter of fact, there's the Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yep.
You
I was
know,
just thinking that.
You know, your feelings will betray you.
Mind your thoughts.
Your feelings will betray you. And that's the truth. Your feelings will make it look like it's something else, and it's not necessarily that thing. So that's where, you know, and you've heard people say it's never as good or as bad as you think it's going to be. You know, and so you get these, if you allow yourself, especially in the fantasy world, which is like the future or the unknown, and you let yourself go into this place, you can really create a storm for yourself that can be really hard, you know.
Yeah.
And that's this emotional roller coaster. So we want to get out of the emotional roller
What
coaster.
happens when Elsa goes into the unknown in Frozen 2? There's a
sings.
giant storm.
Oh.
There's a giant storm.
For real.
She's in the middle of a giant storm, and she's singing through it.
Yeah.
Like, facts. What you just said, straight Joey Sweeney facts. Stamp it. That's all I had to say.
There you go. Good job, Joey.
Yeah.
Stamp it.
So, so Leeann said something else very cool yesterday, and it was interesting because it's similar to what Paul said, but it was her perspective on it, and she didn't know Paul had told me to, you know, mind my feelings kind of thing. And my wife has dealt with in her life a lot of anxiety and different things, and so she says when the feeling gets big for me, what I do is, she goes, I try to pull the feeling out of my body and push it forward, and then look at it. And that's what Paul says to do, is like be an observer. And I've heard a lot of meditations are like see the thoughts, see them float by. It's okay to have them, just see them float by, but just like that way they're not controlling you. So yes, it's okay to feel, but you got to acknowledge it, and acknowledge it for what it is, and be honest about what it is. Because if you're not, what happens is you get too high during the game, and then you end up going out drinking because you were too high, you were too happy, you were too on this thing that like wasn't even real, or you get too low after the game because they lose the game and you get all depressed and mad, and then you end up taking it out on somebody. You end up being a jerk to somebody.
I was waiting for you to go, and then you go out drinking.
Well, and that's true.
I mean, the people who do that will do it, lose or win, and again, both ways. You know, you don't win. You don't win.
But both ways, the feeling amplifies the drinking.
Yep.
And the feeling, you know, creates this experience instead of just having an experience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you can lose out on moments, I think, of a day and good memories and positive things because you are letting the negative bring you down so much. you
Yeah.
know? Like when we did our draft and I stole away Kyler from
Don't
you.
even.
'Kay,
Don't
it's true,
even.
it's true.
Don't go there.
But
don't go there.
Yo, that was
Joey,
that was
like,
straight up Yoda move.
the
bro.
whole rest of the day. Thank you.
Yeah,
like-
we were very mad about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's fine to be mad, but like I wanted to go throw the football with you guys. Like I wanted the draft to be done now.
Yeah,
And,
no,
like-
we didn't want to do that.
No.
and we would not have done that. I still wouldn't do that to this day. If I could go back to that moment, all I would do is take Kyler sooner.
Yeah. And I mean,
And then I'd be happy to throw the football.
I felt like the
Then you'd be
Grinch. I felt
fine.
like the Grinch in that moment. I was like, hate,
No.
hate,
No, but
double
you know,
hate.
But you know why?
No.
You know why? Here's why.
Why?
This is why we got so mad. This is the truth.
Yeah,
Because we did get angry.
yeah.
We underestimated you as a player.
That's true. That's facts, though.
Got it.
That's facts.
That's
Okay.
facts. So what happened was we looked at the board. We originally had planned to take Kyler. And we were like, we think we can get away with another round. And we were like, we're going to get away with this. So we're going to take a chance. And we went against our own game plan. We went with our emotion at the time, us to like get away with something. And then we got caught with our hand in the cookie jar from somebody that we thought didn't do his research. So we're like, dang it! Like we got beat by Brian. You
Yeah,
know? Like,
yeah.
And it was like the next pick, and we just looked at it going like we knew it was the right pick, and we didn't trust our instincts. That's that we got mad because of us, not because of you. That's the actual truth.
Yeah. No, 100%.
If you had taken Kyler the round before, we wouldn't have cared.
Yeah.
Because
we
we'd
don't
been
have
like,
control.
we would have never taken him then anyway.
We
Right,
couldn't
yeah,
have.
yeah.
We were the last pick. in
There
the
you go.
first round,
But,
you know?
but we also wouldn't have. Like we
Yeah.
had our first. It wasn't our first pick, I don't think, or was it?
We were gonna take him first.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that was what it was. Okay, but you get what I'm saying.
I totally get it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was an interesting thing. Like when it was out of our control, no problem. But when we had control, decided not to do it, and then just like got rubbed in our face, it was like, ugh,
Yeah.
that hurts.
It's just
Sure.
it's just such a bummer, and then for him to have such a successful season afterwards, you know, it was really tough.
Well, we don't have to go there, but
Yeah, Brian finished last, and we finished third.
It's fine.
So
It's fine.
just-
third, that's so bad.
yeah,
But might as well be last.
if you ain't first, you're last. Ricky
All right.
Bobby.
All right, so that was a little segue there into fantasy
I got you guys
football,
real
but-
passionate. Yeah.
You did,
Yeah.
but I wanted to get to the why behind it because the truth
No,
is,
that makes
you're
sense.
right. I was unable to throw the football.
Yeah.
I was unable.
Right.
I was mad, and Joey was madder.
Yeah, I was like, whatever
I mean, 'cause
level
you
you
at least
were.
threw it. Yeah. Joey was like, "I'm not going near you."
Right.
Yeah, no, 100% was not gonna talk to you.
But it was a beating up of ourselves moment, not, and that's it comes back to the truth of the truth, right? Like you get under the emotion. What is it? And it was this lack of trust in ourselves. Like it goes back to it had nothing to do with you, nothing.
And that's kind of why, you know, yes, we were upset at you in the moment, but you go to like afterwards, all that, like, it's also, you don't want to take it out on somebody for making a good choice. So you made a good choice there. You took the player that we should have taken, and I'm mad about it. But I don't want to get mad at you. It's not
Right.
necessarily your fault. And I'm pretty sure I told you that.
But we did. No, we
Like,
got. But
like
you
when
did
we
get
got
mad
home,
at him.
I was like,
yeah,
We got
but
there.
later.
Yeah.
Later, right?
Later.
Right.
It took
But,
a while.
but that's the key, though. The key is when you're in the Brian situation, when you're in the Brian shoes, to acknowledge it's probably not about you.
right.
yeah.
And that's how
Facts.
you can. That's one of the ways you can stay neutral when people are attacking you and you're feeling attacked. Is to go. This is probably a self-reflection on them, and they're trying to take it out on me. So I have to acknowledge that, and then again try to stay separate from the emotion.
And that's how you, as the wayward passenger, get off the emotional roller coaster. Then the person that's riding the emotion needs to get off the emotional roller coaster themselves. So how do they do that, Matt?
I felt like after the first sentence, it was like really good, and then the second sentence, it like went too deep into the roller coaster.
Yeah, I mean, it was just I was diving real deep into the analogy of the
It's
title.
like no one to quit, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I get that, but I still stand true to my analogy. I think.
All right. Thank you. So here's the big takeaway. All right, and as soon as I'm done with this, Brian, I want you to announce our guest for tomorrow. I think that'd be great.
Great.
So here's your big takeaway. How do we get off the emotional roller coaster? What's our to do? And first and foremost, I want to give you Leeann's advice, which is going to be look at the emotion third person. Try to become an observer of your own emotions, and that it all comes all the way back to acknowledgement. But you have to be able to see it, and then you want to separate yourself because you are not your feelings. So acknowledging that you're allowed to feel, of course, we're gonna feel, but it doesn't define you. So go third party. Secondarily, I think it's really important to find alone time, to find time with God, and then to talk about it. And if you need it, 100%, you got to go out and get help, because we've got these feelings, and if you don't have an outlet, if you don't have a way of getting through the feeling, that's where the therapy comes in. Like, you really got to reach out and get help, because, I know I'm not alone. I understand I'm not alone in these big feelings that I'm feeling right now. I understand people have it better, people have it worse, but the truth is we all share the same human experience. So whether you're richer than me, poorer than me, a different age than me, all that kind of doesn't matter. We're all experiencing being human together.
Yep.
And so as we navigate through this stuff, we have to know when we need help, how to reach out for help, who to go to for help. And if you're out there, you're listening right now, and you're feeling the feels, and your feels are super big, and you're feeling a lot of ups and downs, it may be time to breathe, connect into you, take some time to observe the feelings, connect into God, pray, meditate, and then reach out to somebody. Reach out and say, hey, I really want to talk about what's going on in my heart right now, because it feels very big. I know you've said before, one of you, like, you feel the weight on your chest.
Yep.
Yeah.
And when that happens, instead of ignoring it and letting it get heavier and heavier and heavier until something breaks, you want to reach out and have somebody reach over and help you and lift some of that weight off your chest.
Yeah. And then the last thing I want to say to close this off is forget about the worldly idea of therapy. It's good for you. It's good for you. Don't listen to oh yeah, like that's a bad thing. Like you got something messed up in your head if you need that. Like, no, it's just release.
When it's in the same idea, and thank you for saying that too.
Yeah.
Is think of it as a privilege, really. Like I get to. I don't have to. I get to go to therapy. I get to express my feelings. I get to share how I'm feeling with my dad or my friends or my coworkers or whatever. And if you don't have that safe space, that's what a therapist's job is they get paid so that you get to release some of that. It's a get to, not a have to.
Yeah.
All right, show. Brian, we got a great show tomorrow. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I just called you show. I don't know if you heard that. I was like, all right, show. We got a Brian tomorrow.
Did you really?
I started.
I don't think you did.
I started to, but I caught myself.
Oh, I was gonna say I
missed
didn't
it.
notice it. You stumbled over it very, very
Thank you.
elegantly.
If you listen really carefully, I said, "All right, show Brian."
I'll listen back.
All right, Brian. All right, sorry, I'm interrupting myself trying to set you up. Brian, guy, we got a great show tomorrow.
Yes, we do. We have
talk about
our first guest of season 2. So
I was about to say you better hit some sound effects.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we are interviewing a influencer and a dancer. She's a teenager. She's 15, and her name is Madison Taylor.
Okay.
So she reached out to us via she had watched some of the other teen episodes we had last season. And so again, she's a competitive dancer, and she had some really great questions about just blocking out the negative in life. Like, how do you do that? And so she's going to be talking from a teen perspective, from an influencer perspective.
and really getting some insight from us on that. And the topic is called Block Out the Negative. So
Great. All right. So if you're out there and you are interested in influencing, becoming an influencer and whatnot, great episode to watch. And if you are a teenager, have a teenager, another great episode to watch, because we're gonna be talking about the feels like we did today, but we're specifically around negativity and how to block out the negativity or overcome negativity. And it should be great. It should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, very excited.
All right. Thanks, Bry Guy. Thank you all for tuning in. This has been the Mornings with Matt show. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to Mornings with Matt. Please like, subscribe, and follow us at Deering Acting Studio to keep up with the latest content. For more information on classes, private lessons, or professional development coaching, visit www.deeringstudio.com. Have a Deering day, everyone.
Have a champion.